I have to say that Petersburg, it's got this kind of aura of kind of beauty and mystery, and it's just like all there in the city. When you see it, you see all the, the darkness and the light. You just look at the city.
Like St. Petersburg itself, on a sunny day, you'd see light spill over these like bright buildings, and it just hit you, and you just knew you were in the right place. It was great.
The bus excursion on the second day around the city, because I just thought it gave me kind of a bird's eye view of Petersburg. And I know it's not possible to see all of Petersburg in one day, but I got to see St. Isaac's Cathedral, the Winter Palace, the Bronze Horseman, all in one day.
Now you can look to the right.
I think when I first started taking pictures in the city, I started as a tourist, and as the trip wore on, I started to take pictures not as a Russian, because you don't achieve that on the trip, but as someone that can appreciate Russian culture. So looking back on the photos I've taken, it's nice to see Sunday mornings at 5 a.m. overlooking the Church on the Spilled Blood, but it's also nice to see that picture of a Russian couple hugging on the beach by my house in the middle of the sunset.
Well, this is the first time I've ever lived in the city, and so to me it was a little dirty, noisy, lots of people, but it's amazing how in all the chaos you can find just happy little islands.
But something that topped like everything would have to be the private hideaway of the Pushkin documents and papers that was in the library. Because that library, I wish I had in my own house. It was fabulous.
When we went into the Pushkin library, she would say, there are 4,000 books here in 14 different languages. That was something I did not know about Pushkin. So I think that I really actually paid attention to every detail that she said in that tour.
It wasn't just like it was her job, it was as if she had spent her whole life trying to prepare for this, or just trying to, keep you entertained, keep you on the toes of your feet. And she knew that you were interested. She at one point actually cited, if you look at this, if you're very interested in this part of the house, then this is a book you can read about it. Name and author. That was very, very useful to us.
I think she made the house come alive, because she gave you the information that helped you feel a part of what you were seeing, which is quite hard to do sometimes when you're taking Russian tours and whatnot.
I mean, you see all these palaces, and you're thinking, the czars, they are decked out. These people had so much money. People told me about the Emperor Room, and I have to say that I was dragged through a lot of other rooms that were not particularly interesting. I mean, they were all carbon copy the same. And then you get to the Emperor Room, and you think, this is all the amber I've ever seen in my life, and someone stuck it on their walls. I mean, the magnificence of this, it just blows you away. It's just incredible.
I must say that I totally enjoyed Tallinn, because in a way Tallinn was very much different from St. Petersburg, and it is hard to believe for me, at least at this moment even, that Tallinn was once part of the USSR, because Tallinn resembles a lot like a European city. It has a European setting, there's a European ambience to it.
You think Novgorod, you think wood. And you go to Novgorod and you see lots of wooden things,
But it's really fabulous to be able to take pictures when you have your scarf over your head and you've just stopped in a church unlike anything you'll ever see anywhere else. And to look back on that experience, and to also look back on the time you get to spend with the kids on your trip and really get to know them in a city that is very small. It's nice to be able to walk around and appreciate a Russian city outside of St. Petersburg when you really are living the city life for such a long period of time.
Being in Moscow, especially at the end of the trip, helped me realize just how much more I knew about Russian culture and city life than at the beginning, just because I could navigate the metro and felt comfortable talking with people in Russian, and I would not have been able to do that 10 weeks ago.
Moscow certainly has its strong points because it is a very cosmopolitan city. It has integrated what is Russian as well as what is capitalist, what is Western.
Moscow to me felt like a Russian New York, but St. Petersburg will always feel like this cultural center of Russia.
When people talk about LSA, it is easy to focus on excursions and fun along the streets and going to tourist attractions. But then again, I must emphasize that classes can be fun, especially for this LSA program.
Oh,
Oh goodness, the teachers were so nice to us because really it wasn't just the textbook work, it was a lot of just the conversational skills that we really need to have, and they sort of slipped in.
I especially enjoyed the class that focused on phonetics because it really corrected the pronunciations of sounds like r, sh.
And I think the teachers really help to build your confidence in that they expect you to perform at a level that's like similar to the Dartmouth level of performance, but at the same time it's in Russian, so it's a lot more self-motivated, and you have a lot more inner confidence, and you come out of it with a lot more like determination to really nail the language, which I think will help back on campus.
Like, I loved Analytica, reading the literature and then talking about it.
I have to say with Analytica, in the beginning I wasn't sure if it was a good idea because we had just taken a year of Russian and I wasn't sure if we should start reading 19th century Russian books after a year, but she was such a passionate woman about literature. When she read an Akhmatova poem, like there were almost tears in her eyes when she read it.
I really found it helpful in Roscoevore because my Roscoevore professor was the musical type, and I truly enjoyed being able to not only talk about Chechnya, but to also be able to sing old Russian folk songs in class, and to have him, strum along on the guitar was something that made me feel part of the culture.
I really got close to my host family, and it was funny because on the first day when we went in the bus to meet our families, I was just completely scared. I didn't know what to expect, and when I met them, they were the warmest people I had ever met. My host mother did not speak a word of English, but because my host mother could never speak English, I had to kind of have the dictionary out and figure out what she was saying, but towards the end, I kind of got accustomed to a lot of things she was saying, and we were able to have intense discussions about perestroika, Soviet Union, and even like some of her family issues, personal issues, and that kind of made me happier because I knew we were a lot closer when she could talk to me about those things. They basically took me in as a member of their family. Every weekend they would take me to their dacha, they would make shashliki, and we'd go pick mushrooms in the forest, and I felt like that was just as Russian as going to Russian classes. Like I was experiencing a whole Russian life out of the class, and that really did help me, and that's why I appreciate the LSA a lot more.
Some days when you're sort of wondering how you're really attached to Dartmouth because you're so far away, you're almost part of a different sort of school system here. And then you know that when, the Tischlers invite you over to their house to have tea and have, to talk about Dartmouth, then you really get worked up, and you realize why you like your college and why you love it.
The excursions we got to take to the Tischlers' residence were my favorite also because they felt like the American consulate. And they really did feel like a little piece of home, and it was a nice hideaway and a nice break to be able to hang out with two adults that you not only respect as adults and professionals, but that you can also look to as parents on the trip.
And I must add that I respect Professor Tischler a lot because she was organized the whole time. I mean, I wouldn't have known what to do if I had lost something or if I couldn't get a visa because Professor Tischler had her head on her shoulders the whole time.
If I had to give a student thinking about coming to Russia advice, it would be pack a raincoat, have your umbrella with you all the time, and expect the unexpected because you will never, ever come out of Russia with the same kind of perception that you go in with. Everything will blow your mind in one way or another.
And one more piece of advice, don't let your fears overwhelm you because the major part of the experience is to be out there in the city, on the streets, learning, and to immerse yourself fully in the atmosphere and get a feel of life there.
There are going to be things that you're going to be scared about. You can never be totally confident before you go to a country like Russia. But I think you need to have an open mind about a lot of things and realize that it's a country halfway across the world and it is going to be a lot different. But I'm going to accept all those challenges and overcome them. And I think if you think that way, then it's going to be an easier transition in Russia.
I have always wanted to come to Russia, and I know St. Petersburg was Russia to me this summer, but there's so much more left to cover of Russia.